Good evening, Super League fans and managers. Hopefully you can hear us. It would be much appreciated if you could fire a quick note in the comments in the chat if you can indeed hear us, or at least hear me. I'm of course here with Mr. Ian Edwards. Good evening, Ian.
Hi, Martin. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thanks. It's good to be back. It says, "Hear you all good." Here he is. Okay, hear you loud and clear. Okay, well, it's good. So that works. That's good. It has been a while. Ian and I were just discussing how long it's been since I last did this, and it's been a while. We couldn't
Well,
exactly
it is.
remember, but
It's great to have you back home, mate. It really is, and the everything that you put in place, and especially the transfer free for all, which certainly from my perspective was very welcome.
I think it's something that people have been waiting 15 seasons for to get a. I don't know if we've had a completely unlimited transfer window before, but I mean, hopefully, hopefully that's sort of broken the camel's back. Hopefully, you're gonna like not have me do another 140 transfers in
I don't think I've got anybody left to move on.
right. Well, it's at least they'll do this season. Right. So I'll try and see if I can remember how to do this. We'll skip to the other scene. So hopefully everyone will be able to see the actual fixture screen popping up. Thanks to Duggan for the quick overlay. If it's too small or annoying, or if there's anything wrong with it, feedback is more than welcome, of course. And apologies, Ian, for bringing in an alternative designer. I know it's normally within your remit, but Duggan kindly threw something together and emailed it about 10 minutes ago. So I hadn't even thought of it. So
No,
appreciate it.
absolutely no problem at all. I can't see it myself, but I knowing what Duggan normally puts out, I'm assuming it looks great.
It looks fabulous. There's absolutely nothing wrong. New logos and everything. So I can see that we've got pretty much everyone in the chat already. I think. Let me see if I can get this. I can get it to work. Perfect. Steve is here. Evening, Steve. Duggan, of course. Tato, who's asked to go first. So we will do that, I think. Badgers Fulchester. We can try that. I don't know if Dan is here. Dan is here as well, so we can indeed go first with Fulchester against Badgers. So we'll just it's business as usual. I'm not sure why I'm just blabbering on. It's business as usual. Welcome to season 16, the first season where the Badgers will be the reigning champions. That's a feeling that you're familiar with, Ian, of course. So my first question to you is, how does it feel as a reigning champion to go into to a new season? What can Tato expect? Is the pressure higher, or how do you think he'll be feeling tonight?
No, I don't. The pressure's only higher if you put that on yourself. I think it's kind of a monkey off your back. There's a relief and a release when you get a star because we're all here to do it once. Anything else, I think, is a bonus. But so you do kind of chill out a little bit. But then when you've got such a good team that Badgers have got, he will put his own pressure on himself to do it again because he obviously knows now he's capable of doing it.
I mean, I predicted he'd bottle it. I predicted he would do well, but bottle it at the end last season, and of course he managed to stay the course and eventually go all the way. So well done to him. But let's have a look at the squads of the first couple of teams that we've got here. I'll see. This is also new. I need to remember everyone's names again so I can pick them here. So if we go first with Fulchester, and hopefully there won't be too much of a delay on this. So you should be able to see the screen of Fulchester shortly. Uh, it's a long time since you've had more recent experience of winning the league, obviously, than being the new manager in the league. But um, a seat at the table for Dan, well deserved. I think everyone will agree after Maka decided to do something else with his time. What if you can remember back to those days, or based on your more recent experience, what's it going to be like for Dan now with Fulchester United? Not his own team created from scratch, but a big seat for him where he comes straight in, and there's big expectations, I think, for him to at least do a little bit better than what Maka did.
Yeah, because he's done well in the past, so the expectations on him, they're more because of the respect that other people have for his ability rather than the squad that he's got available. And I suppose the one thing that jumps out at me there is the unrest within the squad. He's got two of them in the starting 11, so he's hoping to obviously win them round. I'm assuming. But I like the business he's done. He looks he's got Sadorf in there who he's had success with in the past as well. And then a couple of big calls positional wise. I mean, he's done well to get Zanetti in, but he's not playing him at DMR. He's going to be playing him centrally, which obviously we've seen certain managers do in the past and do quite well. And then the big one obviously is Beckham at MC. I would have half expected to see him and Sadorf swapped around. Um, but again, the pressure is on him a little bit because people know he's very clued up and they know what he can do.
For sure, for
Um,
sure.
and because he is, I mean, in a lot of people's predictions, mine included, hovering around that fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth spot. So it's one of those where
Yeah.
people won't be surprised if he comes top six at all. So it won't be a big shock.
I mean, he was obviously close to, from memory, close to getting into the playoffs, or at least had a shot at it when I think it was Rocks and uh, and Campbell famously fielded Michael Stewart in as an AMC and lost the game or something
Yeah.
like that. Not that I'm bitter or anything. It's obviously all water under the bridge, but now you're right. Interesting to see how he's gonna get the most out of players like Beckham and Sadok, who for me like they're kind of like interchangeable a little bit. I don't know if any one of them is like a real winger, but we'll see what Sadov can do out there. He's going with a tactic that looks a little bit like this, which of course is something that we've seen variations of. I don't think we will need to go too much into the tactical details. It looks a little bit defensive, but obviously he is up against the reigning champion, so he's going to be careful to start off, I think. So, let's see, let's see. D says this feels like retro Super League. This well, it kind of is. I mean, we are two of the old boys in the
And we've
we're two
obviously
of the,
we've saved them from the torture of the cameras, haven't we, as well? So
exactly the camera
we're
back to the
incognito, which is
back to the
probably everyone's relief.
well, can do separate videos and upload them if anyone is interested. But I think a camera free is probably okay. We'll see if this works. It does. They're up against the reigning champions. What do you make of the oh, let's have a quick look here. It- A ton of transfers down here. Amoroso's coming in, Day is coming in. These are maybe not starters. I don't know. Mendieta is a big name coming in for him. There's Edgar Davids as well. I mean, it's not as if they really needed to strengthen in those areas, but they have. Do you see Davids or Mendieta? I guess it's a strengthening of their squad.
Yeah, and not forgetting Simeone, who was obviously one that he wanted to
True,
to
true.
keep hold of. That he's and I mean Desai. I think speaking to Teo in the close season, he thinks he's probably getting one more season out of him, or three quarters of the season. He thinks he'll do okay. So it's not just those two. They've still got strength and depth in that area because the fashionable thing now is for this 3DM line. I mean, it's not something I particularly sort of bother with, and I do think it's overkill at times. But having said that, I think looking at that, Mendieta's playing on the right wing, isn't he? So it shows he's got that flexibility. Nicky Butt's going to be the one that's kind of a bit of a miss. I know he rates him highly, so I guess he was torn between having a little bit of fun in the market, not rocking it too much because I know he does want to go again and he does want to create a kind of a dynasty if he can do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's Nicky Butt is an interesting one, isn't he? Because he's always in the Super League. He's kind of like not a kind of a joke player or anything like that, but he's always like very, very solid, like average rating merchant, really, isn't he? I mean, you
Yeah.
rarely see him popping up with assist and goals, but you often see him on like 8, 9, 10 tackles or a really high average over the course of a season. So it'll be interesting to see how Davids and the rest of the guys fill up those roles. He's got Uy Falusi, be able to pretend that I can pronounce. I think he's from the Czech Republic originally. I'm not sure if that's correct pronunciation, but he's brought him in as his only foreign signing. He looks interesting for sure. So maybe he'll get a run out, but he's obviously got Klompe, Okoronkwo. Ashley Lythe is probably also starting to come into some quality now. So, but we'll see what he does. How do you think it's gonna go? First game of the season. We can have a quick look at the formation, but this is there are no surprises. This is the same. This is how he's always gone. So how do you think he's gonna fare in this first game?
Yeah, I think if he can create and if he can get those front three, I think name wise and quality wise, they're playing not in line with the rest of the team, rest of the squad. If Badgers can take the chances, they should be okay.
Mhm. As always, you welcome predictions in the chat or just general banter. Evening, Jamie, as well. You are there. Craig Duggan says, "Here we go, season 16." Indeed, we kick off season 16. I'm not 100% in stopping the game on 60 minutes, so apologies in advance, but we'll we'll try and do it as it has been done. And of course, Fulchester kicking off under Dan against reigning champions Badgers. And CG Roberts, I'm a big fan of him. We'll see what he gets up to for Badgers this season. Starting role for him, Rossini as well. Um, the Nielsen, who Dan was desperate to bring in, already popping up a couple of times as well. Bit of a surprise signing for me. I think he swapped him with Julio Arca, which is maybe not a deal I personally would have made, but he's a big Danielson fan apparently. We'll
Yeah, he
see at
can blow hot
halftime.
and cold, can't he, in the Super League, Danielson? I've had him before, and he'll have 2 or 3 good games on the trot, and then you won't hear again from him for a couple of weeks.
And we have the first goal of the
Mm.
evening. It's Anelka opening the scoring for Fulchester as we move towards halftime, and there it is. Let's have a quick look at the match stats then. It, I mean, it has been Fulchester, to be honest. They have been the dominant side, um, and they've had the more shots on target, and not a lot created from Badgers. We'll see if the manager does anything. Dan says, as is, well, you're 1-0 up and you haven't seen your player stats yet, but I guess you're happy. And it was Danielson with the assist for Anelka linking up there. Um, I think I saw in the preseason, I don't know if I shared it with everyone, and it won't be a surprise to anyone, but Anelka was a bit unhappy, obviously. Dan decided to not fine him or anything like that, but a good first half from Colchester, I'm sure you will agree.
Yeah, still there, the only player on the pitch on 100% fitness. So I guess he's done absolutely nothing apart from stick the ball in the net once. I think this is possibly the only position on the field where Badgers maybe might be a bit light this season, putting a lot of. I mean, ZZ Roberts was a huge bonus for him last season. It allowed him to cash in on Saviola, and obviously Rossini was decent as well. So a lot riding on those two to grab some goals.
Hmm. And both managers go as is. So we'll try and kick it on to 60, and I'll try and do my best to stop it on time. Time is flying already, so let's see. Let's let this one run and see what happens. Uh, we'll try and catch it here. On 63, not a lot happened in the first 20 minutes of the second half. I'll show you the condition very quickly. No condition concerns for Fulchester United. Anelka still on 95, so still doing relatively well. Um, Over on the Badgers side, Nikiforenko down on a 5. I don't think his manager will be particularly pleased with that. I don't know what he has on the bench that he could potentially pop in there, but we'll see if Tato does anything condition wise. We'll just have a quick look. No major concerns. Simeone on 81, the lowest. Um, Anything you would do in Tato's shoes, Ian?
I think you've got to give Nicky Franco a chance to see the game out and turn his 5 round, because otherwise you're looking at a pretty stinking start to the season for him, and uh, posing yourself a problem for your next team selection. Having said that, he's got a couple of able deputies on the bench. I know Rayhead's one of his personal favourites, and I would imagine he's probably looking pretty decent at this stage as well. Um, but I would be tempted just to leave it and let your first team selection run its course.
Mhm.
Um, a fairly decent bench though, so yeah, there are options.
Nikiforenko off for Amoruso, so that's gonna happen. Right, let me see. Nikiforenko off for Amoroso. Please push him up top. There we go. Move Simeone to MC. There we go. Centralize Davids and this, and probably keep the arrows. Longer arrows on wide men too. It's a long. No arrows on either. Okay. No arrows on these guys. Good, good,
He's
good.
going for
Okay.
it then. Yeah.
Well, he's definitely going for it, keeping the 5 men back and pushing the rest of the 5 up front. We'll see how that pans out for the end of the game as we kick off for the last 27 minutes. Commentary speed screwed up, of course. It looks as if Fulchester has taken advantage of it first, but Badgers are coming into it again, definitely creating a couple of chances here. Um, Rossini has been there a couple of times, but not really troubled the Fulchester keeper so far. There he goes again. Amoroso's name flashed up as well. Trip by Okoronkwo. Oh, and all of a sudden we have the
Oh.
final whistle, and it stays 1-0 for Fulchester. So poor start to the season for the reigning champions, and a great start to the season for Dan and his guys, taking 3 points off Badgers. I'm not sure if many people saw that one coming. I think there was a few draws predicted, but I don't think a home win was on there. Deserved, I guess you can say.
Yeah, I think even if someone had predicted the shading it 1-0, I don't think anyone would have thought it'd be so dominant in the stats. I mean, turned it round in the tackle count second half as well, because that's the one thing that Badgers were bossing at half time.
Hmm.
So Fulchester obviously have seen the game out relatively comfortably.
Yeah, let's have a look and see.
Welcome back, Dan.
Yeah, welcome back, Dan. Indeed, as Dimple says, and even Toldo picking up a 9 in the Batters goal. I guess that's going to be the kind of the positive takeaway. I mean, there are good numbers in there for some of his players. I think it's just the front line that just struggled. I can see Nikiforenko got off on a 5, and then Rossini stayed on a 6. Amoroso came on and got a 6 as well. So um, maybe lacking a bit of I don't know. It seems all the only Amoroso had the only 3 chances for them, so um, maybe get tries for to Giggs or some of the other guys to get the ball to someone else. But they're very solid from Colchester. No key passes for Ryan Giggs either. That's not something I would have expected. Giggs doesn't turn up, and then I don't win. Yeah, that's what Tato says. That's that's very accurate. Looking at the Fulchester side, they spread out the shots on target a little bit more. Anelka getting the man of the match on an 8, even though Bartes was on a 9. It's not often you see that, but there you go. He'll be happy. Um, Anything spectacular to take away from this game from Dan's perspective, or he probably just goes again next time out?
Yeah, I think it was just a very, very solid job. Well done, wasn't it? It's an interesting one that eight's his best, and not only I think they had also Desai had a 9 as well in the other team.
He could very
Um,
well have had, yeah, indeed, indeed.
so yeah, I mean, more of a team performance rather than the individuals, and so far so good with Beckham contributing a shot on target. Sadov's had a shot. Everyone's getting involved,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
Nicholas and Elka being unhappy, it doesn't seem to have made a difference, which he'll be pretty chuffed about.
He'll be chuffed about that, and he'll be chuffed with the 3 points. Well done to Fulchester for the first game of the evening. We have a Los Santos Kings against Dudley Hill post next, so this is another interesting matchup. We spoke about unhappy players in the previous game for Fulchester. Los Santos Kings in a similar situation with the license, with Kahaladze, with Kalushny, and Pizarro all expressing some level of dissatisfaction with the managerial efforts. But nonetheless, Jamie will hopefully for him have a little bit more luck this season. It seemed that if he had a fair bit of bad luck in the last season, but these are the guys that he's picked to get him off to a winning start to this one. What do you make of the LSK side? I mean, it's a solid. There are solid players in here. I mean, it's not as if you look at it and you go, oh my goodness, there's no surprise he's losing because he has poor players because the squad is decent enough, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there's very few weaknesses there, and he's got a half decent bench as well. If I mean whether Biscan is good enough at centre back, I don't know. Onshaw's obviously fantastic. Of all the unhappy players, I guess with Jamie, he'll be more disappointed about the Kaladze one, I think
Mm,
because he's the new signing, isn't he? And he's kind of come in unhappy.
mm, mm.
The rest might be a little bit of a hangover from, I don't know, a bit of hangover from last season, perhaps. Um, but I mean, interesting that he's gone with Kaluzny because I think Gianna Cheddar might have been a call.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, not blessed with a huge amount of talent outside the 11, but the likes of Ferguson and Nedved, Sand, obviously, pedigree as well. There is a really good 11 there, so he'll be and starting at home as well in
Mhm.
a game that looks like he could potentially win. You couldn't really ask for more than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to get off to a good start. There's nothing but worse than looking at the table 3, 4, 5 games in and still searching for your first point. So, trying to get points on the board and get off to a decent start, maybe help out with some of the morale issues as well. So, we wish him well in the first game, of course, up against. Oh, I didn't. No, yeah, we'll let Taibbi do it then. Up against Dudley Hill. Of course, managers, if you're in the chat, if you spot anything that's wrong in the setup, then please feel free. I have the chat open. So feel free to highlight it if there is anything. Dudley Hill, a quick look at their transfer activities. There's a bunch. All of the stuff that says exchange, I think, is. Oh well, you can look at the date. Oh yeah, indeed, that captures all of it. A couple of deals with you. Montero was one of them that caught my eye. He's uh, he's an interesting one to choose to swap. What made you give up Paulo Montero?
I gave up everybody, didn't I? That was my plan. I wanted to start this new season with a brand new 11, and I wanted to try and feature. Having been a bit of a dinosaur and been around for so long, there's obviously a lot of. I've had most of the players on the in the game at my clubs, so I wanted at least 3 or 4 new ones that I'd never had before, just for that little bit of an edge and that little bit of excitement. Probably the season that Montero came off the back of last season. I mean, the only thing you sort of think where he lets you down is he's not going to be available for every game due to
Mhm,
his, you know, he doesn't get sent off an awful lot necessarily, but he does pick up a hell of a lot of bookings. So you get towards the
mhm,
back end of the season, and it's every 2 or 3 games you get to 1 game ban for serial offences. So
true,
yeah,
true.
I won't miss that, and I think yeah, I got. This is what similar to what I've just said about Jamie, and people see my squad in a bit. I got Dede in as part of
Mhm.
that deal, and he's one of my guys who's unhappy without kicking the ball. So you never know what you're going to get, do you?
Oh, that's true. That's true. Steve, I don't think if you want to set a captain, I think I don't know if I've just forgotten or if you don't want to. Oh no, you said let the game decide. I think if you changed your mind, then let me know. Of course, we'll kick off in a couple of minutes, but you can change it if you want. But I think you said let the game decide. Apart from that, Addo is obviously a decent player. Soroczynski, he's got Mark Kerr. He's gonna throw a bit of a gamble on Mark Kerr, it seems, this season. And then he's got Collins as well, a bit of a yeah, a bit of a he can blow hot and cold as well. I think Scott had him ages ago. I think a lot of people have had him, and then he scored a couple of goals and then disappeared or whatever. But and he's got Constantino, obviously my favorite Cypriot waiter. Um, decent squad he's got assembled there, Steve as well with that Dudley team. I think.
And I think, yeah, I think Rustico was obviously fantastic for him last season. So the
Mm,
centre back partnership takes care of itself. I know he's probably really excited to get Dyer in there, albeit Contra was fantastic for him as well. So his wing backs fantastic, centre backs great. The interesting call for me would be at goalkeeper. I know Abiati's always been a bit of a favourite of Steve, and Hedman gets the nod.
hmm. Yeah, a curious one as well. But I mean, with keepers in the Super League, it's kind of hit and miss, isn't it? Really. I mean, I think unless you have Fabian Barthez or maybe Oliver Kahn to some extent, there are some others that have their favorites. But if you look at like the average ratings, I think they're all kind of prone to throwing in the odd shitty performance here and there. So I don't know. There's something with Magnus Hetman and Shea Given and Haggis back in the day and a lost semi-final or something. There's some history there. I can't remember exactly what it was. Probably not that interesting for for anyone else anyway. So we'll skip that story. We'll see who the game's pick as captain. It'll be Mark Van Bommel. That seems like a fair enough choice. How do you think this one's going to go?
I sort of think Los Santos might get off to a sneaky good little start here, being the home side, yeah.
Have a look. Alf goes far away when Craig asks how many times on you giving until Constantino end up at Sancte. Well, I don't know how when he was transferred, so but it'll be at least until like he can transfer again, but probably not long. I mean, they all come home one day. Let's have a look and see how it goes in the first half. Um, Lots of pressure from Dudley Hill, but Los Santos hitting back. Um, Looks like plenty of chances at both end, or plenty of attempts anyway. Whether they're chances or not, it's difficult to tell. Haven't seen much keeper action. Let's put it that way. Um, oh, there was Hedman with a save, and
Oof.
a yellow card. Was it for Montero? I don't know. Someone got a yellow card. Oh, and it's David Collins scoring on his debut. Not what Jamie wanted to see, but he did want to see that, and that's Pizarro picking one back. Quite an entertaining first half and a good, interesting finish with another chance right before the end. Constantino had a shot for Dudley Hill there. Fairly entertaining first half. Pizarro obviously getting the equalizer shortly after Collins had put Dudley Hill in front. Um, Even spread of the chances. Headers going very much in Los Santos' favor, but apart from that, fairly even. What did you make of the first half, Ian?
Yeah, I felt like there was probably a bit more action than that. It was pretty non-stop, wasn't it? I think that goal 7 minutes after conceding for Los Santos getting it in the first half was absolutely huge. It keeps them on track
Mhm.
for a decent second half. I did. I had a little chat with Steve before the season started. I said Collins needs to have a big season for him because I think there are certain areas where he is a little bit light after his transfers. And I did say to him, I had a sneaky one that Collins might be important for him this season, and so far that's proven to be the case.
So far proven to be the case. Roberto Carlos with the assist for Dudley Hill, and it was Nedved for Los Santos. James going as is at halftime. We'll see if Steve wants to make any changes or adjustments, or if we carry on to 60. I'll just wait for the instructions for that. Constantino unsurprisingly on a 6. Um, slightly lower scores here, but it wasn't Montero who picked up the yellow. Sorochinski is the guy who's got the yellow card apparently. Tony for the Cypriot waiter. That's good. We'd like to see that. Mm, There we go. Luca Tony comes on. I guess that's going to be it. Duggan is already sad, which is fair enough. We'll roll to 60 and we'll see what happens. Um, if Luca Tony can make an immediate impact, unlikely, but you never know.
Well, he's done it
Um,
before for Steve, hasn't he? But I don't know whether that was it part of a two or was it up front on his own? I can't remember.
think he played up front on his own from memory, but Steve can correct us on that. Anyway, we rolled until 60, not a huge amount happened. Kalusny has dropped to 72 for Jamie. He does have license on the bench, who could be a direct swap for that. Otherwise, there was no fitness issues, and I think the ratings are overall looking pretty good. While Jamie ponders, we'll give Dudley Hill and Steve a quick look at his. Overall, slightly improved in the second half. There's definitely not as many sixes. Tony hasn't done much. Kieran Dyer on a 9. That's looking good for him. No fitness issues. Steve says as is. Oh, sorry. Jamie says as is, and Steve says was on his own when he was set, and he says as is as well. So we roll until full time with the current setup, and we see who can find the winner, if anyone. I have seen quite a lot of Pavel Nedved, I'll be honest. So that could be a good sign for Los Santos. Kalusny picks up a yellow, low fitness and on a yellow. That's not a good combination. And there is
Oof.
Lucatoni, the big man, coming in and doing the business for Stee. It looks as if the Oh my goodness, and just as I was about to say that, it looks as if the poor luck is going to continue for Jamie. It doesn't continue because Pizarro pops up with the last minute equalizer for Los Santos. I think he will be very happy that that happened. Almost as important as the first equalizer. Well, perhaps even more important than the first equalizer. And it took 9 minutes this time. Um, yeah, kind of exciting. I felt as if there was a little bit less chances than in the first game, but certainly an exciting finish. And I mean, a 90-minute goal, you can't really beat that, can you? Equalizer there for Los Santos.
Yeah, I think they would have been harshly done to Um, Steve's going to be gutted that he hasn't got the 3 points there. But I think if you'd have not seen the game and flicked straight to the screen that we're looking at now, Steve takes that. Obviously, being 9 minutes away from the 3 points is a bit of a sickener. I think Jamie well deserves a point there.
Yeah, I think on the balance they were probably the slightly better side, which was the story of the beginning of his season last season anyway. I think for many games the Los Santos probably looked slightly better, but just didn't get the points. We'll see what Dudley had. There was a 9 for Kieran Dyer. There was a bunch of sevens. Nothing really changed apart from the assist, obviously for Dyer for that goal, and then Luca Toni coming in and making a claim for that starting position. So man of the match will come from Los Santos, and it's the the double scorer Claudio Pizarro and the 2 assists for Pavel Nedved as well. So that's a good little link up that he's got there. Kalusny stayed on. He's down to 67%, 76%, but stays on a 9. Um, anyone that stood out for you on the home side other than the goal scorer and the assist guy there?
Well, no, because I was just about to say, if you look there, everybody's made a contribution, haven't they? I know that the shots have all come from 2 players, but everybody's put their foot in. Everyone's making tackles. Everyone's completing tackles. Most players are making and winning headers, and everyone's having plenty of the ball. So obviously the finishing has been Pizarro, and the speculative shots have been Nedved, but every single player has been heavily involved, which is probably the most positive thing of all for Jamie.
Indeed, indeed. And Kalushny, I mean, we said maybe it was I think he was one of the unhappy ones if I remember. I can't remember, but anyway, we'll
Yeah,
see
he
if he
was.
he
Yeah.
comes back with a solid performance against next time. Kalatse, that's a shame that he's on a 6, but we'll see what Jamie does with that. Um, Excellent game. Moving swiftly on, we have the Haggis boys. I haven't seen Ian in the chat, to be honest. I can't remember if I warned him that we were going live, but he is in the All Manager chat, so he has had a fair chance to have a look. And of course, we have them up against the Sloths, which we will come to the tactical analysis on that in a minute. As you can see, there's a bit info wrong. He's on his way out. He's swapping with Kluivert, as I recall. Saeed is unhappy. Apart from that, nothing else happening. Obviously, Monterrubio away for an international friendly. That's always nice when that happens. Tactics identical to the Badger tactics. Instructions, I don't know. I didn't look, but the lineup is identical. He's got a ton of players on the left wing. For some bizarre reason, he's got Senden, Monterrubio, Laurent Robert, Kili Gonzalez, this Valtolina person who I don't know. There's Boamorte Pires, Casas and Del Vecchio can even play out there, I guess, as well. So I'm not sure what he sees in that left-sided midfielder role, but he's certainly got the cover. Tomadera starts. What do you think about Haggis? Are they better or worse than last season? He didn't do much
Better or
business
worse,
due to being
I'm not
absent for a
sure better
while.
or worse. I think the concern, I guess, for Ian is that he doesn't seem to know his best team. Um, I think the Jack's coming in has kind of stepped on Del Vecchio's toes, and Del Vecchio was obviously doing fantastically well for them as well.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know who he's got in. Tomadira's obviously come in from Vikings. I don't know who was shipped out. That's so he's going to have 3 to choose, 2 to go into 3 when Clivert comes in. Might just take Ian a little while to figure out the 11, and he's obviously going to have to figure it out reasonably quickly. Oh, he's
Reasonably
done
quickly. It was Kufre who
Kufre
went.
for him.
Yeah. So he's
Right.
obviously
Okay.
got he's got Cannavaro and Samuel. Ibrahim Said can play there as well. Tratse, if you're only playing with 2, then Kufre is probably like third, fourth, maybe fourth choice there. I don't know. So maybe that was his thinking. But anyway, that's how he lines up. We'll see how the Haggis boys go this season. And that's okay. And they're up against the Sloths, and they're obviously under the under the vastly experienced Mr. Alf Bridge. and he's done a bunch of transfers, and everyone has had opinions on them, as they always do when Alf makes transfers. I think his biggest problem is that Ronnie Johnson, who was perhaps one of the best players in the league, a little bit of an unsung hero, I would say, last year, very high average, got the fans player of the season as well, and Yab Stam, like a marquee player he brought in, are both out injured. That's pretty
Mm,
unfortunate. Um,
yeah,
but
huge.
uh, but we- we're staying narrow. We're staying narrow. I don't know what you make of this. I mean, I'm happy. I'm delighted that we're staying narrow, and I'm delighted that Brooking is in there. But what do you think? What do you think is going to
Well,
happen?
I'm like you. I like it because I like one thing I love about this league is that all the different storylines, all the different narratives, and all the managers' different styles. And you know, we do get to a point where we have certain seasons where a lot of managers play the same way, and like it might be doing something similar to the one I use, or then it might be this sort of three DMs, and then MRs and MLs are getting very popular. Um, so it's lovely that like we sort of knew before the start of the season. I mean, Alf never made any secret of what he was going to be doing because he got some success out of it back in the last season. I mean, what it did mean was that he was obviously eh, he was just bombing into the transfer window to get a lot of centrally based players, and
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, he signed three DMCs off me,
Wow.
and so obviously his bench is going to be littered with central midfielders. There's loads of central midfielders that have missed out on the 15. So there is a lot of he can bring a lot of guys in and a lot of guys out and just keep that system. It's just a
Mhm.
case of whether the system works, I guess.
Yeah, well, that is going to be, well, the proof is going to be in the pudding. But we'll have a look and see how they go. Up against Haggis, difficult one to predict, I think, because with a narrow formation, you never really know what you're going to get. Can you see Alf getting off to a flyer here, or will he have a difficult start to the season like last?
I think Haggis might get a few goals here because I think off the back of a good job that Greaves he did in the brief time that he was back involved with Haggis, I think that's where the success of having bringing decent or I'd
Mhm,
say decent-ish MLs and MRs in, but players who perform in those positions for Haggis, not necessarily big names, but
mhm,
people that they were
mhm.
getting really good numbers out of, and that could be the danger for Sloths
There's
tonight.
always a question against the narrow, isn't it? How do you exploit that? And it's not just about having the names; it's also about having the players that actually deliver in those roles. But I mean,
Yeah,
we'll have a look. Alex says Haggisworth could be dangerous. We'll have a look and see how it goes in the first half, and we'll reassess our opinions in 45 minutes. Well, game minutes anyway. As Haggis take on the Sloths. Good start for Sloths here. Two or three chances in the first 5 or 10 minutes for them, and then absolutely nothing happens for 20 minutes, and it's Haggis on the front foot. Um, Brooking Mackay getting heavily involved, Kessman involved as well. Ricotta picks up a yellow. Good save from the Haggis keeper. When just before halftime, Haggis are coming forward and having a couple of good chances there with Van Nistelrooy and Tomadera getting involved, but it stays 0-0 up until halftime. Equal number
mm.
of shots on target. Slots had I think they had a few more. Like right at the beginning, they had a couple of additional shots, and then it was fairly even for the rest of the half. Let's have a look at the wingers, Ian. I forget their names. Pires and Kili Gonzalez. They're at the top. Both on sevens, and neither of them really have found that kind of space. No key passes for any of them. So I guess that's where the stalemate is. That those wingers haven't really broken through yet for Haggis.
Yeah. I mean, Perez especially has been quiet, hasn't he? Kili Gonzalez has seen a little bit more of the ball. It'd be interesting to see whether he turns to Del Vecchio, who you mentioned can obviously play that left-sided role as well.
Mhm.
Um, But I think, yeah, Alf might be a little bit concerned that he's not took those chances early on,
Yeah,
because
that could always come back to haunt you, couldn't it? I
yeah,
mean, I don't think Ian is in the chat, so we'll pop over to the Sloth side here as well. Roy Mackay Alf, in case you haven't noticed, is down to 81 fitness. I'm not going to go on the other screen just now. A couple of sixes there, which is not looking super promising, but we'll see what Alf does. Kessman's been involved. I think he was hoping to get some of that out of, who did he swap him with? Impensa. No, he didn't swap direct, but that's the replacement, isn't it? Kessman is coming in and trying to do what Impensa couldn't really for sloths. You think Alf will stick to 60, or he's going to do something here?
I don't see any reason to change so far. You'd want to give it another 15 minutes, I would have thought, because he's got players on the pitch who can create something out of nothing. We've seen in the past Robbie Keane dribble past 5 or 6 players and stick one in, and without rocking the boat, if he feels he can keep that clean sheet for another 15 minutes, you might not get an awful lot from Kesman, but he does pop up and sticks the ball in the net now and again. So, and that is all you need from those guys.
True. Alf goes as is, and we'll see how that does for him in the first 15 minutes of the second half. Again, they come out firing on all cylinders, and there's Alan Shearer scoring on his debut. Um, Hag is trying to get one straight back, but nothing is getting through. That's us up to 60. And yeah, again, a couple of chances. Solid evening for the Haggis goalkeeper. That's probably the most positive that he's got to talk about at the moment. Ibrahim Said on a six. That's going to be disappointing. Juan Gomez as well on a six. I think I mean, I'm not saying that everyone should now go out and do this, but it looks as if this kind of flat three here are kind of struggling against two frontmen and three AMCs with a bunch of crazy arrows on them. So maybe that's a solution if you're struggling to break down a three DMC line. Maybe that could be your thought process. I'll just pop it up
There's
here
not
to
many in
quickly.
this league who would have the nerve to do what Alf does with those arrows on the 3 AMCs, though, where everyone ends up colliding with each other. It doesn't look pretty, but it works for him, and he's obviously doing something right there.
It definitely seems to be working. And everyone is actually like popped up a little bit in terms of the average rating. It's only Taribo West who probably hasn't had much to do down there on a six, and Kessman on a yellow and on a six. I'll show the condition as well so you can see that Roy Mackay Alf is on 77%. So I don't know if you want to do anything or if you're just happy to stick. Well, it's obviously been going relatively well so far. Legal Whipwall is
Yeah, I
working a
think
treat.
he likes and he likes I won't be surprised to see Riziki because he likes him,
Yeah,
doesn't
he
he?
comes on. Rosicky comes on. He does like him. Rosicky on for Mackay. Uh, so yeah, I mean that's what I would have done anyways. I would personally have had Brooking centrally, but I guess it I mean he's winning, so not changing too much is probably a good strategy.
Yeah, and I think his attacking options really are already on the pitch, aren't they? If he was going to look to change Shearer or Kesman up, you're looking at probably
Yeah.
Keane or Brugging having to step up, aren't you? Because there's nothing else, and he hasn't seen fit to move Smith up onto the
No,
bench,
no.
despite he talks him up quite regular.
But I think Alf does a lot of talking, and then that's it from Alf, so that's good. And we progress for the last 27 minutes again, and see if Hackers can find a way back into this, or if Sloss will continue their dominance, which I think is fair to say that they've had in the second half. I've not seen a lot from Hackers, but could all change. Obviously, they've got quality up front. Van Nistelrooy is there, who's not a bad option, but seems as if Gamara is doing a solid job as well. Oh, but there is
Oof.
this Carlos Jacks, a big player for many teams in the past. I think maybe Scott was the first one to really use him, um,
Yeah,
and
Scott's
he
boy.
and he got the goal for Haggis here. Let's see if they can get another one.
Oof.
They cannot. Sloths, they were hanging on a little bit there at the end, actually. Sloths, I feel like plenty of chances, certainly much better from Haggis, despite not doing anything. So maybe it's just a fitness issue. I don't think the substitution of Roy Mackay suddenly inspired the the Haggis team to do something special. But Alf says he'll take that, and I guess looking at certainly the last 20 minutes, I think I would probably take that after the Shaq's goal. I think they were not fortunate, but I don't know the right word for it, but they were perhaps fortunate. I'll say it that way. Then that Haggis didn't get a second. They had a couple of good chances there. We'll have a look at the ratings briefly on Haggis, just so Ian can see it when he watches his back. Tomadera getting man of the match despite not scoring or having any assists or really passing the ball or doing anything else,
Catching the
but
ball.
but a nine, always good. Fair enough. As Duggan points out, no Johnson, no Stamsloss will run with that. For sure. I mean, Taribo West on a six, he might not be reselected when Yap Stam comes back from injury. Although I do think he's out for a bit of a longer period with torn something. Brookings on a six will be disappointing. Kessman on a six. Rosicky only coming on for a six, but it is an away game, difficult situation. I guess Alp can be really. Will he be the happier of the two managers? Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, he'll be fairly chilled out about that with Alf. I think a little bit different to the Dudley game. I think, like you say, it felt like last 10, 15 minutes sloths were hanging on a little bit, and I think I was certainly sat there waiting for the second Haggis goal to go in once the first one went in. So yeah, I mean, from the point of view that you are leading away from home
Mhm.
and you concede, you may look at that at 2 points drop, but given that it did feel like Haggis were going to go and take it at the end, I think yeah, I think Alf would have been relieved to hear the final whistle.
Yeah, no. Well, it was a good game for both sides. I think no major injuries, positives to take away. So I think both managers will be well, we're not delighted, but relatively pleased with that. I can see Neil is now in the chat. I've now sent through the tactic file. I've failed to send 3 times today. I appreciate post. Yes, a little bit post deadline. I've done an approximation of what I think you wanted, and hopefully it'll work out well for you. I can't download and save and update, but we'll figure it out for next round. I'm sure Exiles will be well equipped to put up a good good effort anyway. I think we can just go with this. I was going to say maybe we go with Exiles next, but we won't. We'll go with this one with Duggan against Dimble. Um, grudge match, is that the wrong word? I don't know what's the right word for it. It's an opportunity for revenge, maybe for Sanctave based on the playoffs of last season. They're up against Cosmos side who have got a couple of injuries and Gattuso suspended, which is always a nice way to start a season. In case he'd forgotten, then you get that little surprise. The big signing for them is obviously Bartes in goal. And who else was it I was going to highlight? Bartes coming in as the goalkeeper, and then basically just swapping like half the squad. Gattuso's one of them, of course. Ian Robin, another one that came in, but that's basically the big signings. I would say Bartes is probably the key one out of that. Did they need any other strengthening? Do you think Cosmos could he have done something else in the market? I mean, he's got Ronaldinho, Shevchenko. Um, he's kind of well covered.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he's going Shevchenko all out up front on his own there at the minute, which is probably the thing to do. Give him as many minutes up front as the lone striker as possible. Um, Robin obviously is in there to cover. It's sort of like that Harry Kewell role that he would have had a couple of seasons ago.
Mm,
Perhaps sticking with Bergstrom, who was a little bit of a gem of a find in the similar to his holding midfielder that he found. He does this really well. Does Dimble? He finds these one or two extra little players who just make that squad a little bit bigger and make that give you more options. And they don't
mm,
just come in and get 7.1s or whatever. They come in and they get 8s and 8.2s and all that sort of stuff. And he does a great job of that sort of thing. I think, yeah, when you end the season as strongly as he did, and you're as good as you are, you're not going to make massive improvements in your squad. It's not really possible. So you're looking at marginal gains, and I think Bartes is one because yes, he's the best keeper performance-wise over the last season or two, but let's not forget he did have a very good performing keeper in there anyway. So it's not like he's gone from a rubbish keeper to a brilliant keeper. It's another marginal gain for me.
true,
Um,
true. And it's not as if, and let's not forget, keepers who have a high average rating are often keepers who actually face quite a lot of shots and actually
mhm.
also concede a relatively large amount of goals. So he didn't cover himself in glory in terms of like bringing the title to anyone Bartes in the past, but I do think he's a strong keeper and obviously averaging over 8 for a goalkeeper is pretty neat. So
Yeah,
a strong Cosmos side and they'll most likely be there or thereabouts again this season. We'll have a look at their opponents tonight. The Dimple says wanted a top centre back and striker, but unwilling to pay prices, so marginal gains would be nice. Yeah, I mean it's a dog eat dog world out there, and we don't have many people who just turn up to be fodder these days. I think even Paul, our new Vikings manager, quickly managed to get into the swing of things, and don't think anyone, apart from maybe you, of course, managed to extract any gold from the mine before the the close sign was put up.
Thanks for that.
But I wouldn't have expected anything less. Um, Interesting news out of the Sancte camp is obviously that Totti is not playing. He's carrying a small injury, and that's going to be. Uh, I won't say a huge problem for him because he does have Scholes. I mean, Scholes and Totti. I don't know if you can really compare them, but let's stick to the game. You probably get a reasonably similar amount of goal contributions out of the two. But I would obviously prefer to play Totti if I was in his shoes. Um, he was Duggan was another manager who swapped about 40 people, if I remember rightly. What do you make of his squad now? Does he have a chance of beating Dimble this season in a game that matters?
Yeah, because he's brought in a lot of match winners. He's brought in a lot of big players. I think it has left him light in other areas. And I think you look at, I mean, Argyle obviously is fine, absolutely fine. He's well a lot better than fine. Lowison can be very good, although he's not. I don't think he's elite.
Mm,
But to see that you probably, and this again, this is kind of a symptom of Totti not being available, that you're having to move Ambrosini forward and bring Boateng into the team, which he wouldn't normally like to do. So
mm,
this would look even better if it was, obviously, if Totti was available. But he is very top heavy. I mean, if you look at the two amazing strikers, and then he's got Owen as a much more than adequate backup.
mhm, mhm.
Gallardo can come on and change games. Obviously, Hagen is a fan of, and he can be big and strong. Um, yeah, I dread to think how many contributions the three guys he's got off me, although only two of them are available tonight, Scholes and Montella. I mean, they're huge players, both in ratings, assists, obviously cropping up with goals, some goals for
Mhm, mhm.
Scholes, plenty for Montella, and then Duff was about as good a right wing back as you can get last season. So it'll be interesting to see how
Sure.
he goes on the actual right wing, a
Yeah.
bit further forward.
Yeah, I mean, he'll do well, and I think Michael Owen as well. I had a bit of a look at it, and he actually had maybe not the highest number of goals for sure in the league, but in terms of the starts that he actually had and the goals that he got, I think he was on like 7 or 8 goals in 15 starts or something like that. It was definitely a decent return, like a goal every other game is kind of decent for a striker in this league. I
Mm.
think if we can get 13 out of a striker who starts every game, then yeah, then you're doing well. But we'll see. Scholes is a top player, even though you binned him. You can't help yourself, Ian. This Steve has been very cheeky, I find, tonight, but we'll see. The prediction, Duggan says 3-0 either way, so that's optimistic. What do you think? Can Duggan scrape a win here, or you think Coats have done enough with their signings and their sort of tinkering to make it an away win?
It's nicely set up because we got all these fantastic sort of players up top for Sancte, and they're up against some really strong defensive midfield sort of types for East Coast. So
Mm-hmm,
we've always seen Dimble able to come and keep clean sheets or keep big sides out and keep the score down.
hmm.
Um, if you can get Shevchenko going or Ronaldinho contributing, they could. But it's hard to see past the likes of Montella and Mapenza, isn't it?
Hmm. Well, we'll see how it goes. Montella is obviously one that is kind of bound to score and has done it in Super League as well. So Mpenza, his strike partner, obviously had a bit of a bad run at Sloth, but we can see he turns his fortunes around with Duggan. Let's kick this one off and see how it goes. Big early chance for East Coast there coming forward. We're on to 10 minutes, and Sancte have had the ball, but I do feel as if it's more East Coast
Oh,
Kovalchuk with a disallowed goal there. That's not nice. Not nice for the visiting manager. I always think stuff like that will come back to haunt you. I always
mm.
feel if you get two disallowed, you're bound to lose the game. I feel like that always happens, even though you dominated. I don't know if that's just me.
I think we all wait as soon as we all get one disallowed, we all wait for the other one to get banged in, don't we? So
Indeed, indeed.
that's
But
a
it's
nice start for
Robin.
a debutant.
Robin opening the scoring for East Coast. He'll be happy with that. We are in. Are we? Is it season three of the save of the build? I guess. I can't remember. Anyway, Robin is starting to look half decent. Um, pretty much all East Coast, I think. Well, all of the meaningful shots, the ones on target anyway, were East Coast. They're not winning many headers. Maybe it's to do with the breezy conditions. I don't know. Alpha's usually the guy keeping an eye out for things like that. Let's have a look at East Coast. They have been playing terribly, apart from Salius in the midfield there. Bunch of sixes. Ian Robin on an eight. Ronaldinho is not having a great game. Fitness wise, we're doing okay. We'll see what Dimple has to say about that. Meanwhile, we'll have a look at Sancte. They've got Vincenzo Montella on a five because he's done his best. I don't know, Darwin Nunez, is that his name? Of the useless striker at Liverpool. Impression with not hitting anything, sitting on a five. Dimble goes as is. We'll see if Duggan is brave enough to do something already. He says as is as well. Well, we'll jump straight into the second half then, and we'll have a bit more of a chat at 60 minutes. Oh, that still looks like it's mainly going East Coast way. We'll presume we'll see something from Sancte now. So we've stopped it here. Sixes for Boateng, for Impensa, and for Montella. Those are the three people struggling to perform in terms of condition. Everyone is doing quite well. I'll let you ponder that one, Duggan, while we have a look at the Dimple side. There's still a few players that aren't doing particularly well. Lee Boyer down there at that DMC, and Shevchenko not seeing that much of the ball, presumably because Ronaldinho is trying his own stuff. Condition wise, everyone's okay. Um, what are you doing here, Ian? You're dim if you're going as is as you normally do, I presume. But if you were to do something, what do you think? What do you think Duggan is going to come up with? I don't think Dimble's going to change much, to be honest.
Um, he's got all his big guns on the pitch, though, hasn't he? I mean, Owen. It might be nice to see how Owen works with Mpenza, perhaps. Is that what he's doing? Yeah.
Nah, he's not. I did it wrong. I'll just cancel these ones. It was for Montella, actually. I think he says. Oh, no, Owen for Impensa, obviously. Sorry, my bad. Owen for
Right. Okay.
Impensa. And he's going to get Hagen on as well for Boateng, who's picked up a yellow. So I
Yeah.
guess it's just the low performance and
Yeah,
additionally
I'm
a high
surprised
risk.
that that's not. I'm surprised he didn't start with Hagen, given how highly he rates him ahead
Hmm.
of Boateng. Boateng seemed like a bit of a curveball uh, to me.
I don't remember Boateng ever really doing anything in the Super League, but we'll see how it goes. And Dimble says no changes, so we'll fire quickly into the second half of the second half and see. Oh, that's not gone
Well, we
particularly
won't like
well.
that.
Kovalchuk getting injured, having a goal. He had a goal disallowed as well. There's only 6 minutes left, so maybe it's just a question of throwing on. I don't know, Sean Davis. I don't
Davis
know.
seems the natural one, doesn't he? I know he's not. I know he's not left-sided, but
He
you'd
is
just
looking
pick him on and leave him there, wouldn't you?
looking solid as well. Davis straight swap. That was the obvious one. We'll go with that. And we will roll until the end. I forget if other managers are allowed to make changes at different but I'm just gonna roll with it, and we could fix that at a later stage. I forget what it is. If it's
It's
only
only
with
been
red
for a red
cards.
card, hasn't it? I
Ah,
think
okay, okay,
recently,
okay, good.
not for injuries.
Oh, there's Ronaldinho. So, um, it looks as if Dimple's going to walk away with the bragging rights in the old Steerco, having beaten Sancte at their place 2-0 in what I think was a pretty dominant performance. We'll have a look. Indeed, indeed, indeed. Meaningful chances, as mentioned, have all come to East Coast. They might have some meaningful ones, but they didn't get many of them on target. We'll have a quick look at Sancte first. Vincenzo Montella finishes the game on a 5. He doesn't like to play with Impensa or Owen, maybe as a lone striker. Who knows? You'll have to go away and tinker, won't he, Duggan? Because he's
Yeah,
going to need Montella.
so many options. It's going to be hard to pin down got to pin down quite quickly what the best one is. A lot, maybe a bit of testing.
Yeah, look at Martin Lauersen though. So we said that, or you mentioned that he can be a bit, he can be a bit of a risk. I think you see him sometimes in your own saves, and he's voted like European Defender of the Season or whatever. And then
Mm.
whenever you have him, if you ever have him, it's kind of like, yeah, not really, mate. But he's done well for Duggan tonight, and maybe played a part in keeping it at just the two. Um, it's Cosmos at the end of the day, so Duggan says it's just the universe conspiring against him. Say Elias with 10 tackles, 10-1, five of them key, but only getting an 8, so that's okay. Robin with the goal, and no assist though. A 9. Bergstrom again. I'm very surprised that this fella. I've not even. You would have thought that I'd even heard of him at real life, being my age. I mean, being whatever I was,
Yeah,
20, whatever in 2001. I should have heard of this person. I have no recollection of ever
yeah,
seeing him
it just
play, never
surprised me.
signed him, never heard about him in real life, don't know where he played, anything. But he got an assist, so I think Dimble will take that, and it'll not necessarily be good news for whoever's playing him next. That East Coast are already firing on all cylinders. Norrköping legend or Norrköping, Steve calls it. So that's where he comes from, Backstrom apparently. Good, good, good. Vikings against Foss Road Unicorns. Paul is here. I don't remember. I saw Smuts or Small Horse or something popping up earlier in the text. Keepers have done well tonight. News. I don't know what the news are. I'm not clicking them. We'll have a look at the Unicorns and their tactics. What did they do transfer wise? Let's remind ourselves who they've brought in. Um, Anyone from you? Oh, that's the big one, of course. He did big deals with you. Turam, Ortega, and Roy Keane. They're big names to give
Yeah,
up,
he
Ian.
did.
I know you've swapped your entire squad, but they are big names to give up. And
Yeah.
obviously they probably all, I presume, yes, they do indeed. All three find themselves to the find themselves in the starting lineup. What possessed you? Is it you just wanted to swap your entire starting 11 and just have new players? Is
Yeah,
that
I
it?
did. Yeah, I wanted to swap my main sort of 15, 16
Hmm,
players
hmm,
in all honesty because I wanted a fresh bench as well. Yeah, what possessed me was that I really fancied another crack at Patrick Vieira, and Smuts drove a very hard bargain for me to get him.
hmm,
I was able to bring in some decent players along with Vieira.
hmm.
So I was able to get Brett Emerton, who will slot into my team as well.
A lot of people like him.
So
I think a lot of people rate Emerton. Not me, but a lot of people do indeed. I think interest. I do have the spreadsheet, but I'm not going to bother opening it. I don't think Patrick Vieira has ever won the Super League as a player. I could be wrong, but I don't
I,
think he
I
has.
I wouldn't know, but yeah, that's I don't really want to be hearing things like that. To be honest,
Well, you
thank
could
you.
be the you could be the you could be the first. You could be the first. People will, those who've been here long enough, will remember the implications of Patrick Vieira on the Super League and the famous, was it the Vieira lottery? Was that what it was
The
called? Where he
lottery,
was
yeah,
where
yeah, when he was
where
left out of the original draft.
14 or 15 people who claim to know everything about the game collectively forgot about the existence of Patrick Vieira for about 2 weeks, and we had to draft him later on. But anyway, um, a good signings by the well, he did let big names go, but it's not left him with a weaker looking side. I would say Unicorns.
His team
Maybe.
looks a lot better, and I think that reflects in everyone's predictions. That
Mhm, mhm.
I think virtually every manager who's put some predictions in has got him top six.
I mean, he does have a lot of good players. He does have a lot of good players in there. Hoffland, of course, Thuram. That's a solid back line. Yakubu is looking pretty solid in the save as well. To be honest, Sambrata, we know what he can do. Alex on the left, I think is maybe a Super League, if not winner, then finalist, has done well. Ortega Crespo. It's all looking pretty decent for the Unicorns. Proceed to the match, and we will have a look at the Vikings under new management. Let's have a quick look at the transfers. This was a late addition because I forgot it and Jamie forgot it, and we all forgot about Patrick Pauve, but he's coming in. And apart from that, he's got Martin Palermo in for Brosek, which a lot of people found strange, but that's just how it is. That's how the cookie crumbles sometimes when you do deals. Sometimes you get a good one, and sometimes you get But anyway, he swapped Danielson for Julio Arca, which I think is a very good deal. So not too bad. Um, I suppose the Vikings squad was really strong, so it was just more of a case of not like screwing it up completely. And I definitely don't think he has. What do you make of the Vikings in this iteration under the new manager? They obviously failed to reach the final despite having an all-conquering Super League record, defense, etc., etc. Um, what's Paul gonna
Yeah,
do? Can he do anything? I mean, is he doomed to do worse than Jens, whatever he does?
I think he's done some very smart things at the start. He's not fallen into the trap that a lot of new managers have, which is to come in and go with some wacky home save formation and setup. He is here because he deserved his place uh, at the table, and he has made a real big effort to be a part of the Super League community over the past couple of seasons. And he hasn't just been sitting idly by. He's been watching and taking it all in and learning and figuring out what people are doing that works, what people are doing that doesn't work, whether that be wholesale changes to squads or whether it be coming in and playing a flat back four and daft stuff like that.
Mhm.
You know, he's really sort of like kept kept his powder dry here. He's kept calm. He hasn't made any daft deals. He hasn't, you know, he knew there was nothing really that was broken. He didn't have to go around fixing anything.
Mhm.
And I think there was players in there that he already had that he wanted to come in and have some fun with, and he knew they were great players. He's made one or two big calls as he goes to put his own stamp um, on the team, because I know that he's got one or two players he's really excited about seeing, like
Mhm.
Pat Soglu, for example, on at right wing back, which some people look at and think, you know, interesting choice there.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so, but he's yeah, I know he's really quite looking forward to seeing him down there.
He doesn't have the crossing for that, really, does he? I mean,
He
maybe he doesn't
doesn't.
want him to cross the ball, but that would be an unusual decision to make for your wing backs. But who knows? Who knows? It may work out. I mean, I can't remember if Kieran Dyer's got spectacular crossing, but he can be one of the best in that position. So Pat Soglu definitely interesting to see him out there, especially considering that we know how well he can perform in the center. I mean, he's definitely not a bad DMC. So interesting to see him out there. So that's the other guy, Pauve. No, yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to sit here and click through all of his players now. Just out of curiosity. Um,
I think with the right back issue, I think it's not so much the player that's included; it's the player that's missing out.
yeah, that does seem kind of odd, but I mean, I'm not about to question it. I'm not about to question it. I do as I told.
That's why you've got pundits on.
I do as I told. I put the lineup together, and that's it. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. As mentioned, if any manager has spotted any mistakes that I've made, but I am sure that that is the right selection. Let's have a look and see how it goes. Vikings against Boss Road in the lovely green and green. What do you think? Home win or Boss Road with all of the Northern Burn stars?
Well, we know that Paul's is Northern Burn really, so we're looking for a Vikings win here, please.
Looking for a Vikings
Sorry,
win.
Smuts.
Well, let's see how it goes. Kicking off and get the speed up. That's Crespo scoring on his debut, so that's definitely not the start that Paul wanted, I presume. Um, and it's been quite a fair bit of Foss Road so far. Staying green, Crespo popping up there, Yakupo coming forward. Does seem as if Vikings are getting back into it a little bit there, but it's back with Foss Road chances again, and Hernan
Oof.
Crespo adds his second. They are not hanging about. The Foss Road boys. Um, being the new boy is no fun, as managers of BTEC Troopers and the original Rocket Sloths will testify. It it can be a
Yeah,
cruel world, and it is. for Vikings with 2 goals conceded in the first half. I doubt that Paul will panic, but here he is. Here he can see his ratings. They haven't really done much as players and fives. Um, we'll see if he does anything, or we run to 60. He says go till 60, so that's fine. We'll have let Smart have a look as well. Nick Matulin on a 7, Hofland on a 6, Van der Vaart on a 6 as well. I think he was involved in some kind of missed chances or something like that. Anyway, I saw his name pop up. But Crespo, obviously the star so far. Roy Keane with an assist as well, doing well there in central midfield. Presume not a lot of changes from him either, but we'll see. Um, and yeah, Roy Keane on an 8. It's looking not bad, not bad for the former Northern Burn players here.
Yeah, he looks very strong, doesn't he? It might just have been a good time to play Vikings because it is a new setup, a new tactic file, and players been asked to do different things. So yeah, might maybe just caught them at a good time. But you're not going to be changing. Surely he's not going to be changing anything there, is he? I mean, it's fine tuning from Foss Road, isn't it? Figuring out who's going to settle at MC, whether it is Van der Vaart for the season or.
So a good, I won't say an easy game for him. I wouldn't have thought it would have gone this easy, but that's how it's been so far. Smuts his asses until 60 as well, so we'll do that and see if Viking can come back into it. Obviously with top scorer Thierry Henry, we haven't seen much of him yet. Um, And there we go to 64. And just
Oh,
on
that.
64 is Pablo Aimar, who pops up with a goal. He's still on a 5. I don't know if it's not updated his rating yet, but it seems as if it's only Baumer who's really been contributing. Apart from that, that's a lot of 5s and 6s there. I don't know. I haven't checked anyone's player instructions because I thought it was too early for me to start slagging off people for no reason. So so I don't know what he's got them doing. Let's have a look condition wise. There doesn't seem to be any kind of problems. It's just performance. So Paul, have a look at this and let me know what you want to change. Presumably something, but we'll have a look. It'll be Veron, Ian says. Smuts. Veron is coming in,
Oh
I believe, for
yes.
Foss Road. Let's have a look at the Foss Road tactics. So obviously, um, it's still going good, still going well. Um, Rafael van der Vaart is on a 6. He doesn't have a direct replacement for him really on the bench. I guess he could put in Tudor further back and move someone else forward, but I think that's his only real option. Condition wise, Steven Gerrard down on 76. It's obviously not the best either, but not too dramatic. Paul says Esteberia for Shimkoviak, so we'll go and do that. I don't think anything else. I mean, he can't put
Well, those
Arcane
fives are
because
going to jump
Bauman's
up,
on a
aren't they?
9.
Yeah,
Sorry?
those fives are all about to jump up a little bit, aren't they? Because I think we clicked
Yeah, we clicked
same time as the goal
just
went
as the
in.
goal went in, and he says Tudor for Gerard to with low fitness and a yellow. Okay, very good. Let's run until the end and see if Vikings can find a way back into this. Let's have a look. It was their only shot on target so far. Potentially get a bit more here. That was Foss Road again. Ferdinand picking up a yellow. Vikings coming forward a little bit more there. There was Terry Henry. Aymar's name was mentioned again. We have still got 5 minutes to play. They can still do it, potentially. Um, no,
Oh,
it goes to the
no.
final whistle. I know it maybe spoils a little bit of the entertainment here, but I'm not going to sit and lower the speed. Apologies if anyone was really like keen on that, but I'm not going to do that for the last 5 minutes. Not this early in the season. When it gets more exciting, maybe so. Vikings, a couple of good chances there towards the end of the second half. They played themselves a little bit back into it, but it wasn't quite enough to find the equalizer, but perhaps not as depressing as it looked at halftime. Let's have a look. Baumer picking up the man of the match. The predicted improvements on the 5 didn't really happen, apart from Pablo Aimar, who's snug up to a 6. Um,
Yeah, I
what
mean,
can you say? It's welcome to the Super League, isn't it? But it wasn't a disaster, certainly
it
after
wasn't. They
the
came back into the game, bossed the tackling, the headers. I think if you start with Cafu instead of uh, Soglu there,
Mhm,
it's a different. You've got a different first half.
mhm.
Um, but now all I can think about is that Foss Road starting lineup with Veron at central midfield, and they looked strong tonight. Imagine what they're going to be like when that deal goes through. Gone from potential top six to absolutely nailed on.
I mean, if they can keep injury free and if Crespo can keep scoring goals for him, Alex getting the assists, certainly a good left-sided winger, 15 tackles for Roy Keane, solid at the back. Nick Matulin, maybe the jury's out on him as a top class keeper, but certainly it has a lot of top six potential, I would say. So, and he'll be happy with this one. Assist there, as we saw for Roy Keane and Alex and Crespo with the two goals. Got a couple of games left. We'll save this delicious one for the end, and we will pop over to, I believe, Exiles. Oh, it's Stanley who's at home. Okay, we'll go and have a look at Stanley first then. This is Stanley's side. They surprised a lot of people, I think. Oh, Robbie Savage is not playing. My goodness, they surprised a lot of people, I think, last season. Red Rose with their performance. Um, what about this season? They brought in Hargreaves, interestingly. Nicky Butt is there as well now, of course. Scally is still there. Sigalko up front, now partnered by Ronaldo. Do you think Red Rose are in with a top six shout this season?
Absolutely. I mean, I had them down top six in my predictions last season, so their season wasn't a surprise for me that they finished top six, and maybe floating around second, third, fourth for most of the season might have been a stretch, and showed what a good job Mike did. Probably slightly overachieved with what he had, because it took a Sigalko who wasn't particularly doing it for Jens, and he's starting to take. It'll be interesting to see how he goes in a two.
Hmm.
Ronaldo, I think, is a good sign, and I did have conversations with Dan about Ronaldo myself. Couldn't get anything working,
Hmm.
and I think his season only really faltered at the end last time out because he had the likes of Scally, who he wasn't available to him at sort of the business end of the season. Now he's got Scally back. He's partnering him with Butt, so that's huge in the middle. Should hopefully for him free up the forward guys to just go and do what they do and bag a load of goals.
Hmm. You can West Brown as central defense though, but if it works, it works. Candela's injured, oh sorry, suspended. Boswell is unhappy with something. Alf says it's his contract. I don't know where he knows that, how he knows that, but I presume he's right. But we'll we'll see. Cudicini in there as well. So on the bench, Westerveld of course in goal. For the exile, so apologies to Neil. Both of us were kind of out during the day and we didn't really have time. There were some tactical kind of discussions going on. If there's any one of these you want me to move, Neil, then let me know. I'm not gonna try and open my email and find the file and all of this. So if you just need me to move one guy, as Mike says, that's fine. But I don't know if you want Raul up there or something. But otherwise, we'll just leave it. I think it looks okay anyway. Um, in terms of the squad, rather than talking about the tactics, Vieri up front, Raul coming up there as well. Faria is a bit of an unknown quantity, but can do well. Figo proven on the wing, I guess. Roberto on the other side overall, and then strong DMC line as you expect from Ross, and then Nesta and Milito at the back. Looking fairly good, I would say for Exiles. What do you make of them?
It's that blend, isn't it, of top class players and a few rocks specials.
Hmm.
Um, Ernesto Farias. I mean, I'm getting old and my memory's not great. I'm pretty sure he's ex-Burn, isn't he? What is it, FRC?
He is an FRC.
Um, and he,
He's
he was
just.
all right. He was all right for me, like in spells, but he didn't
Mhm.
didn't do it consistently. Um, Big call putting him in centre mid. Um,
Yeah, that's probably down to the tactical confusion.
right, okay,
But that's the best I could do with the cards I was dealt. So,
right,
but we'll see how it works out. As mentioned, I'm not sure if Rox is back in the chat, but if you wanted to move some stuff around, then we could
yeah.
potentially look at that. But I don't want to hold it up, to be completely honest, because both you and I talk a fair amount. So um, we'll progress to the game while Alf is fishing for a Bosvelt signing. But we'll wish him luck with that, and Mike. Of course, the transfer window's open. You can do deals whenever you want. Your predictions for this one, Stanley or Exiles for you?
Yeah, I think Stanley might be a bit too strong here.
We'll see. Are you pining for Boswell? Yes, Mike. Indeed, it sounds like he is pining for Boswell. Um, First 10 minutes, quite a lot of activity, both end of the pitch. Vieri is there. Ugo Ehiok. I'm going to try and say that again. Brings him down. We're on to the half an hour mark now. I've seen Scalco a couple of times, but not yet getting the ball in the back of the net. It's Vieri again. Two big names there, Vieri and Sigalco, obviously regulars of the Super League over the years. Coming up to half time, can someone find a gap? Figo tried again. No, it remains 0-0.
Ooh,
Exiles with the sort of the larger share of the chances. A big discrepancy on the headers won. If that's any interest to anyone. Apart from that, they're fairly even in passes completed and tackles. Slight edge for Stanley there, but they haven't been able to convert that advantage into anything meaningful. And a bunch of sixes and sevens um, at halftime. Uh, it seems to have gone out of fashion to do stuff at halftime, really. So I'm guessing Mike will stick to 60, but it's not looking hugely promising. He says new season nerves for the team. Fitness is definitely looking good. Hargreaves out there is the lowest one, and he's on a 6. Um, Meanwhile, over at Exiles, it's sevens and eights with a couple of sixes. So not looking too bad with a slightly bastardized formation. Not seeing Neil about. We'll give him a couple of more seconds. Mike says as is. Um, he'll be looking at his bench. Do you see anything on the Stanley bench that you would potentially do something about at 60 minutes if things don't change?
I,
Sand, Neville,
I
and
mean, you don't
Mido.
now, do you? Yeah, I would. I mean, Phil Neville would have probably started for me, given that you've resorted to putting Owen Hargreaves in the team. But other than that, I think Mido, he had a bit of success with Mido back in the last season. But then, having said that, Semac's a bit of a favourite of Mike's
Hmm.
anyway, so he would be reluctant to do that at 45. I would have thought.
Yeah. We'll run till 60 and see what happens. Hargreaves trying his best to prove you wrong there with your criticism in the first couple of minutes of the second half. It's always that skipped straight from 60 to 68, so apologies for that. Mike, here is your side, and here is their condition. Hargreaves on 80 is probably the only concern. Phil Neville could potentially cover that left wing back, couldn't he? Um, I'm not sure if he wants to do anything else. I'll leave it up to Mike to ponder that while we give the Rock uh, side a quick look. They're doing quite well, apart from Ernesto Farias, who perhaps wouldn't necessarily be a first choice in that position, but will be fixed for the next game, I'm sure. But lucky for him, he has a big back line behind the Farias to cover the defensive work. So probably working out okay for him there. Um, Neil nowhere to be seen, I think, at the moment. So we'll just wait for Mike and see if he wants to make any changes. Swap Hargreaves for Phil Neville, and that's it. We will do that then straight away. And we'll run the last 21 minutes and see if Stanley can find the winner or if Phil Neville is going to let him down and allow the Exiles, Figo on that right hand side, to come forward and do something for the visitors. Always with Phil Neville came with a cross there. I saw him involved already. Um, sort of a bit of a hard fought battle here. It seems as if no side is really willing to actually find the back of the net. It was surprising considering the objective of playing football, but it ends 0-0. Um, 6 shots for either side, kind of a small amount on target, probably 0-0, and probably the least sort of entertaining game of the evening. A ton of upsides here as well. Have a look at the Stanley sides first. What do you say to that? What do you say to that, Ian, when you get a match report like that and it's just a bunch of sixes and your keeper's kind
Loads
of
of
done
sixes,
okay?
yeah, yeah. I think there's what you hope for, don't you, with the start of a new season is you hope you've got a lot of questions of your team, you've got a lot of things to figure out, and you want to figure these things out as early in the season as possible. And obviously, we all know what Maxim can do as a lone striker. So you get Ronaldo in, and obviously everyone sort of fancies him. you really want to play him up top because, like, I mean, he's not an AMC, is he? But everyone ends up playing him at AMC. So it's whether you can get those two up top working together, or whether you revert to Maxim up front on his own. I don't think there's an awful lot wrong with that. I think it's
No.
just, you know,
Sometimes games
not
just
too
go
bad.
like that, don't they? We'll have a quick look at Exile so that Neil can see it as well, of course, when he watches us back. Milito on an 8, probably the highlight of the evening. Nesta as well, and Amantidis, all of them doing well centrally, defensively. The attacking stuff he'll work on, of course, and get that sorted out for the next game. So apologies for my side. That was the best I could do with the stuff I had available at the time, and as we were both out during the afternoon, that was kind of it. We'll move on to the main course. Stackington Colliery, featuring Vaughn, featuring Novotny, Gravison, a bunch of stars he's got assembled here. Saviola, Rivaldo, Elber, that Ross has at his disposal here. A formidable foe, I'm sure you will agree. Stackington Rebirth, he's named the tactic. What does it strike fear into the heart of you when you see this, Ian? Or are you fairly confident?
I mean, his team doesn't necessarily strike fear into me a huge amount. I mean, obviously he's got Buffon from me, um, who I think is the best is the best in the league. I think Contra's obviously been brilliant for Steve, and that's a great signing to get in. Everyone up top is capable. It's whether they're always capable on the day. Maybe not so much over the course of a season, but certainly capable on the day. Um, I'm I'm concerned in the fact that he beat me back end of last season quite
Mhm.
comfortably. I'm probably more concerned about my team taking a little while to bed in.
Mm.
Certain, yeah, certain decisions that I've made rather than how strong Stackington are.
Well, you trust you to question yourself. You're up against Cosmin Contra. It's a good job we're getting to the last game of the season because I am losing my voice a little bit here. I forgot how. Nah, yeah, anyway, um, we'll run with this for us and the boys, and we'll have a look at the Northern Burn side, and I'll let you talk through your lineup and your decisions. Lee Young Pyo on the left hand side. I guess it's down to Dede being unhappy. You're not happy that Dede is unhappy. I take it.
No, dead it's he's lucky he's still part of the 24. In all honesty, he shouldn't be coming into the squad with that attitude. Really, he needs to show a little bit more professionalism if he wants to get himself back into the reckoning. Um, but I'm happy with the rest of them. My main concern, and this is what the game's like, and I'm always a pessimist and I'm superstitious and all that sort of stuff. And you know what, this game can come back and bite you. But of all the teams to travel to, um, with Iker Casillas in goal after his exploits last season, to
Oh
go
hell.
away to Stackington is making me very, very nervous.
As Alf pointed out, we haven't had a red card yet this evening, so we could
Yeah,
be in for that.
yeah.
Interesting to see what you'll get out of Zinedine Zidane. Are you trying to prove something here by signing him that I will be the one to, or you're just kind of like gonna go with Kuhl and Riquelme, and if you have to, Zidane can get a game.
Well, I had three positions in the team that I wasn't entirely sure what I was going to do. So I wasn't 100% sure what I was doing at right back. I wasn't because of Dede. I wasn't 100% sure at left back, and then that other one position was the right hand side of the two behind the striker, and it was
Mm.
Riquelme is in there because I've never managed him in the Super League before, and he's got his set pieces. I could have done Zidane for the same reason. It was really out of those two. But I just fancied a crack with Riquelme, basically.
Well, we'll have a look and see how it goes this evening. We'll kick this one off. And yeah, final game of the evening. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. No doubt, perched behind I was going to say at the back of your chair, behind your chair. We'll kick one off and see how it goes. Stackington hosting Northern Burns. Steve has some kind of hatred for the Saviola arrow. Oh, Cillian Petrov with the opener. Inzaghi with the reply just 5 minutes later. Good comeback there for Northern Burn. We'll have a quick look and see what happens elsewhere at halftime because time has flown past. I thought it was going to go straight to halftime. I've got a couple of seconds to fill here with relevant information. Impressive save by Buffon. Rivaldo comes forward. Inzaghi come forward again. Gravesen fouls him. All of the action was kind of packed into the first 20 and the last couple of minutes of that first half. Um, I guess you are going to be happy with the equalizer.
Yeah, happy with that. Happy that it came quickly. Not happy that they've had one shot on goal and or one shot on target and it's gone in.
But then
Um,
there is Christian Burns, who they picked. Sloths had him, and he did spectac. No, he didn't do spectacular. Well, he did because he did pants, and then he started playing him in the narrow, and he did well. I'm not sure why he left, but he's done well. Ashley Cole's done well. Actually, he's got a bunch of people defensively doing well. Saviola, Elba, and Rivaldo not contributing a whole lot up front. So that, Ross, is your side if you want to make any changes at halftime. Ian, I'm guessing as is going to be your answer, but I'll let you have a look anyway. Yellow card for Patrick Vieira, but no fitness issues.
yeah, as is, please, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought as much. Lee Young Pyo out on that left-hand side. You're kind of regretting not even allowing Dede on the bench, or you're sticking with it. Is Milevski a DMLC? He is indeed. That's an option. But we'll see how it goes at halftime. Ross says, oh, sorry, at 60, Ross says is as well. So we'll run till 60 and we'll let you have another look. And apologies for clicking on Milevski. I forgot that you hate that. I'm sure all will be forgiven. 67 minutes, and I think they just got a goal. So yes, they did indeed. It's 2-1 Stackington at the moment. Petrov and Elba, the goal scorers. We'll have a look at the condition. No worries there for Ross. You can have a look at that. Ian, again, apologies for clicking on Milevski. I'm
No,
sure
I
we'll.
don't mind that at all. It used to be when Ryan would click on someone mid match. I don't
Ah,
mind when
okay,
it's half
okay,
time or
okay.
anything
Oh,
like
that's
that.
okay then. But you're not going to be entirely satisfied anyway, for other reasons, I guess. Condition-wise, you're looking okay, Emerton on an 81. Um, Anything in mind in terms of changes here? Harry Kewell is on a 6. Could you be tempted to bring on Brosig or Zidane?
No, we'll stick, please, Ryan.
I'm trying my best to tempt you into action here, but Stackington are going to go with Agahawa for Saviola, who's done terribly with his arrow. And that's him done. We'll run the last 22 minutes and see if we can find a way back into this. I think you have had a bunch of chances there. Oh, a penalty and Inzaghi with the equalizer. And will there be heartbreak for either side here? Petrov coming forward. He's trying his best. Vieira held him off, I think, right there at the end, and a 2-2. On the balance of how things went during the game, looking at the stats, you would probably say, but considering how it went, you'll
Yeah,
take
pleased with
the
that.
1 point.
Yeah, absolutely, really pleased with that. I say away to a team that beat me in this fixture last season. They've had some good ratings. We've gone away from home. We haven't lost first game of the season. You know, once I look back at it, I'll learn a bit about a lot of new players that I've never had before. 2 goals for the new striker. There's loads of positives. Yeah, no, I'm pretty pleased with that. Well played, Ross.
You'll be less pleased with Iker Casillas conceding 2 goals out of 2 shots and getting a 5, but we won't
It was
dwell on
always a
that.
massive gamble, wasn't it? We'll see how that situation goes. I'm
Was
I'm I'm fortunate that over the couple of iterations of the Super League, Rushdo's come in and done a job for me on
true he
various
has. He's
occasions.
a bit of a favorite of yours as a backup goalkeeper, and I remember seeing him a few times. So, but anyway, we'll leave it at that for this evening. Here is your full-time scorers. No one had more than 2 goals, but there were goals in pretty much every game apart from the Stanley Exiles game, which means that East Coast are probably the early league leaders. Let's have a look. East Coast indeed have been given top spot on goal difference ahead of Foss Road. There's Fulchester. I'm not going to run through them all after one game. I don't think there's going to be any surprises to anyone. What I will do very quickly before we go is have a look at the fixtures, so you can see who you're up against next. You have a lovely away game to Badgers, which I'm sure you'll be delighted to. Might as well get the big ones out of the way. Get a couple
Yeah,
of away games out on the board straight away. That's good. Colchester with another home game against Foss Road. That's a interesting one as well. East Coast continues on the road. They play Haggis. Los Santos is at home to Duggan. Staggington hosts Exiles. Stanley hosts Sloths, and Vikings welcome Dudley Hill. Um, anything that you particularly look forward to apart from your own travel to Badgers?
yeah, I'm not looking forward to that one. Fixtures there. Yeah, Haggis East Coast stands out. Fulchester have made a Fulchester and Foster Road both look really good tonight, and
Hmm.
they've got to get each other out of the way next time. So yeah, that looks like a really tasty game, and I'm assuming that Foster Road obviously have Veron available for that one as well. So
Presumably the
uh,
deal will go through, yeah. The big
yeah,
game of the evening, I can tell you already, will be Stanley against Sloss, where apparently Paul Busfeld is on the line. I'm not sure what Alf is offering in return, but it's gonna
everybody
be
always
interesting.
likes to look at Paul Boswell because he's got obviously those great attributes, don't he? But he still never ever gets a run in this
Never
league.
really does it? Yeah. Anyway, considering the local time, we're going to leave it at that. I hope you enjoyed it. It's been a while, but it felt as if I slipped into it relatively comfortably. Thank you very much, Ian, for your contribution, of course, and your help. It always helps to have good co-coms, makes it
No, thanks, mate.
flow a
Great to
little
have you
bit more
back.
natural. So, as mentioned, next week is a big long holiday weekend for me, starting Wednesday. So, limited interaction from my side. So, apologies for that. That's just how the timing is, but I'll keep in touch with all of you and get back to you as soon as possible with the game week 2 date, and the packs will be out first thing tomorrow. Good. With that, thank you very much, Ian. Thank you very much for everyone in the chat, all the managers. You'll hear from me again soon. Good night, everyone.
Good night.